Hello, good morning all of you. Hope now I am audible and also the screen is visible. Good morning all of you. Hello, good morning all of you. Can anybody speak? I think now I will able to hear your voice also. Hello. Am I audible now? Hello, good morning all of you. Can anybody speak? Am I audible? Am I audible now? Hello, good morning all of you. Okay, so now I am audible, screen is also available, everything is going well. So let us start our today's discussion, EUGMP Annex 11, compliance, expectation and evaluation. Why we are discussing this topic today, the basic purpose of discussion on EUGMP Annex 11 is many people are not focusing on EUGMP Annex 11 requirement. The reason is the FDA observations are given on the basis of 21 CFR Part 11. And that's the reason what happened. The people are more focusing on the 21 CFR Part 11. But the EU also now started giving observations for the computerized systems. That is the one thing. Second thing, now, as per the mutual recognition agreement between the Europe and US, it is clear that about 25% of US inspections will be 25% of US inspections will be reduced on the basis of the EU compliance. That means 25% US inspection will be less. In the other words, we can say that that 25% will be more emphasizing on the US as well as the EU requirements, because that is the mutual recognition agreement between the US and other countries. Third reason, EUGMP Annex 11 is quite clear, elaborative. At the end of this session, after this all the discussion, we will have the detailed discussion on what is the exact requirement of 21 CFR and what is the exact requirement of EUGMP Annex 11. That time we will come to know that what are exact difference between both the guidelines, right? So this is a short introduction about this topic. So let me give my introduction as a part of our normal training protocol. Those who don't know me, my name is Hitendra Kumar Shaha. I am the CGMP compliance consultant, trainer and auditor from NADH plus GXP compliance services. I am having more than 21 years of experience, and these are all the companies where I started my career with Sun Pharma, followed by working in Blue Cross, Alembic, Mylan, Sanofi, US Vitamins. I work in multinationals which include Zydus Cadila, AstraZeneca, even Mylan. So this is a short introduction about me. If you have any questions during our session, you can put your questions on the chat box so that I will be happy to answer your questions, right? And whatever expectation, that also you can write it down on the chat box so that I will solve your queries. And after this also, I just want to tell you that in the evening 6 o'clock I will be available online with the same link, where if somebody is having questions and all, they can go to this offline training and they can ask the questions. I will answer all those questions, right, at 6 o'clock in the evening. If somebody is not able to attend now, no problem, but my suggestion is always the live session is better to have the immediate communication and clarification of the doubts rather than the offline trainings. Okay, with this I want to tell you that what is the importance of topic. EUGMP Annex 11 broad understanding. What is the broad understanding of EUGMP Annex 11? Application of the guide, overall approach to Annex 11 requirement, what are the expectations of Annex 11, all the key elements we will discuss there in detail about an EUGMP when we will discuss about the EUGMP Annex 11. Then after that we will discuss about the what are the key difference between the 21 CFR Part 11 and EUGMP Annex 11. Followed by we will have some question and answers. In between also we will touch upon some of the questions and answers. Finally we will have the vote of thanks for your kind attendance and understanding here. Okay. So this is just an overview. I don't want to discuss much here. And now I want to put more focus on the discussion on the key element of EUGMP Annex 11. Okay. If you compare the both guidelines, EUGMP is rather very clear understanding. The write-up is very clear. The expectations are very clear. On the other hand, the 21 CFR Part 11, if you remember our earlier training session, always the requirements is given a generic as a predicate rules. That means we have to follow the other GMP norms and all. So EUGMP. Touching with this our today's topic, these are the 17 key elements of the EUGMP Annex 11, which includes risk management. I will tell you that I want to tell you that don't use the word risk assessment. Always we should use the word risk management. Okay, both are different. Personnel, supplier and service providers, validation, data, accuracy checks, data storage, printouts, audit trail, change and configuration mode management, periodic evaluation, security, incident management, electronic signature, batch release, business continuity, archiving. So with this element, if as a broad understanding, if you compare with the 21 CFR Part 11, you will come to know that there is a lot of discussion in the EUGMP with respect to the requirement of suppliers and service providers, while in the US 21 CFR Part 11, this discussion is not there. Second thing, EUGMP is using the terminology incident management, while the 21 CFR Part 11 discusses more about the deviation. Terminology is a deviation. Here also, before going further, I just want to tell you that the electronic signature is the focus area for EUGMP, while the 21 CFR, I will use the word ECFR, is more elaborative with respect to not only electronic signature but also the digital signature also. Both are different. So this is a short broad expectation and understanding about the EUGMP Annex 11. So when we will go through this training continuously, I will touch upon the where it is a differences between EUGMP and 21 CFR, and at the end we will have a composite or cohesive differentiation between both the guidelines, right? In between, if you have any questions and all, you can please raise your questions so that I will try to catch up on these questions during our next discussions. Okay. So the risk management, I was telling that we should not use the word risk assessment. We should many people use the word risk assessment. I suggest we should use the word risk management. Risk assessment is only identification of the risk. That's it. But the risk management is not only identification of the risk, evaluation of the risk, taking the mitigation plan or control plan, and plus further communication and the review. That is whole is called a risk management. So always use a word whenever you are using word in your GMP, SOPs or your anywhere else. Please use the word risk management. So coming to the point, EUGMP expects that the risk management should be followed throughout the life cycle of the computerized system. Right? Risk assessment is discussed in 21 CFR also. But the point is here, guide is very clear with respect to the life cycle approach of the computerized system. Means what? Starting from the design or the thought process, from the URS till the software or the computer system will go to scrap. That much of whole life cycle should be based on the risk assessment or risk management approach. We should consider the patient safety, data integrity and product quality while performing the risk management. The extent of validation should be based on the risk management. And of course, while doing the risk management, we should consider whether the computerized system or the software is able to ensure the data integrity controls or not. So basically, on this background, on these aspects, EUGMP expects to perform the quality risk management. If you hope you gone through my 21 CFR Part 11 discussion also. So in the 21 CFR, along with this point, always 21 CFR will guide you to refer the predicate rules also. What are the basic GMP requirements? That also we should follow, right? So this is what the slight difference between the EUGMP requirement and the 21 CFR requirement. Don't worry, at the end we will discuss in detail the basic major differences between the both the guidelines, but I just remember, so I just share you. Okay, before going to the next point, I just want to tell you, if you have any question, please put your comments in the comment box. Okay, personnel in EUGMP, there is a very clear requirement that you should have identified process owner and system owner. Okay, many companies are lacking in this requirement, and I want to tell you that many companies got the observation for this, because when the inspector comes to the facility, they will ask, this is a computerized system, okay, very good, who is the process owner for this computerized system? Then everybody looks to each other, who is the system owner? So when you develop or you start working on the computerized system, please ensure to identify that who is the process owner, who is the system owner. Don't worry about now at this moment in the concept, because tomorrow I am planning to have a training on the basics about the computer system validation. Don't worry about that. So during that time I will explain you what is the process owner, what is the system owner, how we can move ahead for computer system validation and all. Don't worry about that. This is just a background or the base. That is the reason first we discussed 21 CFR Part 11. Today we are discussing on EUGMP Annex 11. Tomorrow we will discuss about the computer system validation. So that time both the trainings will help you. Okay. So now at this moment you just remember that EUGMP expects to use this terminology, and further there should be close cooperation between all these people like qualified personnel, IT, process owner, system owner, etc. And they should have appropriate qualification, level of access and defined responsibilities to carry out their assigned duties. This is the requirement of personnel. However, in the other guideline like 21 CFR, it clearly expects to have the training, experience, okay, and qualification for the operating the computerized system. So, but here the requirement is only the requirement is there should be close cooperation between all the people involved in the computerized system, and second thing, the person should able to follow the activities. This activity is very important with respect to the EUGMP requirement. And let me tell you one thing, that you cannot consider for any computerized system that you are complying to 21 CFR Part 11. So you need not worry about the EUGMP Annex 11. No, somewhere somehow both the guidelines are connected. Hence, if you comply the EUGMP Annex 11, you have to comply 21 CFR Part 11. Or if you are complying 21 CFR Part 11, you have to comply the EUGMP Annex 11. So this is very important to understand both the guidelines to match the requirements, right? Just a minute, some messages there. I think somebody is facing problem. Okay, nothing. Okay, so the basic requirement is formal agreement must exist between manufacturer and the third parties. This agreement should include clear statements of the responsibilities of the third party. IT department should be considered as analogous. Ensure competency and reliability of a supplier during selection. The need for an audit should be based on risk assessment. I will tell you one thing. When you go through this complete training, you will come to know the risk management is to the up to the end of the shelf life of the system. Okay. So tomorrow when we will go through the GMP 5 requirements and GMP 4 requirement differences and CSV, you will come to know that more about this aspect, that how at what level risk assessment is required. Documentation supplied with commercial off-the-shelf products should be reviewed by regulated users to check the user requirements are fulfilled or not. Quality system and audit information should be made available to inspectors on request. Sorry. So, main point here I want to discuss is, okay, there is one question by Mr. Manoj that based on which criteria risk management type shall be choose. Okay. At this moment I just want to tell you that the risk management is important, but don't worry, when we will actually discussing the computer system validation, that time I will explain you that what is the criteria for risk management and how that will be considered for a computer system. We can take one example tomorrow at the evening, and that we will discuss in detail, right? But don't worry, tomorrow I am going to take in more detail about that. This is the basic requirement of EUGMP I want to tell you. So one question, when you are dealing with the vendor, suppliers or vendor, please ensure that in what sense the supplier is going to provide your support. Why I am asking this question is because today the supplier is very good, you are getting the services, you are using the computer system from them, very good, but now you will habituate after 2 years, completely you will be dependent on the computer system after 2 years, but meantime the supplier may change his business. The vendor who is supplied your computer system and all, that person may not be getting sufficient profit or some other reasons, person may change the business, or that person may move out from the business, or the core focus of that person may go out. So in such a case, how you will able to run the business, that is very important. So this type of questions should be asked while selecting the suppliers or the service providers, and also you need to perform the audit, but of course based on the risk management you have to evaluate whether the audit at what extent audit is required, and then accordingly you have to conduct the audit. Okay, one more important thing here, if it is an off-the-shelf instrument, means what, it is ready-made like HPLC, right? So the HPLC manufacturer will not be developing the HPLC as per your own. It is a standard HPLC or LIMS. Okay, LIMS, okay, there are some modifications are possible in the LIMS, but yes, in SAP you can say most of the time SAP is used as it is. So in such a case you have to evaluate whatever the documentations are from the vendor, whether they are complying to your requirements or not. And very important thing is, the user should take all the steps to ensure that system is developed in line with the quality management system. The supplier should be assessed appropriately. Means what? When you do the audit or when you evaluate the supplier should have the quality management system. Means they should have the change management, they should have the incident or deviation management, they should have the SOPs. Why? Sorry. The reason is, if they update their software, they should maintain the record. What is the version of the software? What are the changes they made? What is their impact? Because these changes will impact on your GMP activities. These changes will impact on your day-to-day routine activities. These changes will impact on your normal functioning of the operations if you fully dependent on these systems. Hence, you have to ensure whether the supplier is having the quality systems or not. Okay, so this is the very important point which is lacking in 21 CFR. But let me tell you one thing, that you should not forget the requirement is predicate rules mentioned in the 21 CFR. Okay, so please be sure that whatever you are complying the requirement, you have to follow the guideline to ensure the data integrity controls, to ensure the basic GMP controls, to ensure the guideline requirements of both the EUGMP as well as 21 CFR, because you are not going to change the software repeatedly, right? There is one question that if risk assessment is performed by vendor, then risk assessment should be performed by user department, not for new instrument qualification. Mr. Satish has asked me this question. I want to tell you that risk assessment or quality risk management should be performed by the user. If the quality risk management is done by the vendor, no problem, but you should have the procedure to evaluate that quality risk management, whether it is up to your requirement or not. What happened? Vendor or the supplier is supplying the computerized system to so many companies, so they will have the standard quality risk management, but there may be some different requirement, there may be some different URS at your end. So first very important thing is whether your expectations which are specified in the URS are complying under this or not. That is very important. Okay. Second is your systems, in-house controls may be different from the other companies. So possibility of error in your company may be more or less. On considering this all background, my suggestion is, okay, vendor is giving you quality risk management, no problem, but that quality risk management should be reviewed, evaluated, whether it is up to the mark or not. If not, then you should raise some addendum, and in the addendum then you have to identify more further risk, and then that risk also should be addressed, and further mitigation plan should be taken, either by automated. If it is a bespoke system, you can tell supplier that I want to put these controls more. If it is off the shelf, then you have to put the manual controls to ensure all the complying the requirements. This is very important because many people are having the question even in qualification validation also, ki sir, vendor is giving this document, so whether we are supposed to prepare again the new. My suggestion is you should have the SOP with the format. In the format you have to clearly evaluate and sign off whether the particular document is suitable as per your expectation, your company procedures or not. If not, then you should raise the addendum to that, and then along with that qualification or the risk assessment or whatever you are doing with respect to the equipment or the software, you have to raise the addendum, and then that has to be fulfilled. Hope this is clear to you. So let us move to the next requirement of EUGMP Annex 11 is the validation. The validation documentation and report should cover, see again I am telling you, this is very crisp given by the guideline. Tomorrow we will discuss more and more detail with respect to the computerized system, how we can do in a practical way, how we can implement the computer system validation, how we can review it. Okay, because why I am going to discuss this point is many companies are getting this observation after doing the validation activity also. Why companies are getting this observation? Because validation is done by the third party, activity is done, lot of files are filed, and then the sign off, and then they are kept separately. But when inspection is there, the system owner or the process owner or even the people who are facing the inspection, they are not able to reply to the inspectors with respect to the validation, what is the strategy and what is the depth of validation and all these questions. And that is the reason the companies are getting the observation. So being a QA people or QC people, we should understand the basics about the computer. Second thing, we should understand the basics about the computer system validation, and that is the reason tomorrow's topic, tomorrow our training will be very important. So as per EUGMP, what is the expectation is the relevant steps of the life cycle, justification of the standards, protocol and acceptance criteria, procedures and records based on their risk assessments, change control and deviations up to the date, listing of all relevant systems and their GMP functionality, means inventory. So this is the basic requirement of validation by EUGMP. So here the point is, everything is very clear. It should be with a life cycle approach. Yes, justification of the standards, it's also correct. Protocol and acceptance criteria, this is normal thing. There should be a provision for recording the change control and deviations. So whatever the changes you are going to make it in the system, or whatever the deviations observed during the validation, that all should be recorded, okay, as a part of a GMP requirement. The next is what I want to discuss is with respect to the validation only by the EUGMP is EUGMP stating that for critical systems, up-to-date system description detailing the physical and logical arrangement. This is very important. The system description with physical and logical arrangement means what? Physically what is arranged means what? Hardware. Many people miss this hardware qualification during this validation activity. Let me tell you one thing. If you develop the software and if software is installed in your computer, so that means you should not only validate the software, but you have to consider the hardware. If you are not considering the hardware, your validation is incomplete. This is a simple activity, okay. For validation of hardware, it is a very simple activity, but many companies are lacking in that because they only follow the documents received from the vendor and just execute it. So physical arrangements are very important. Second is data flow. This is very, very critical requirement. Data flow and the interface. Data flow means how my data once generated will move. Means what? Suppose take example of a QC HPLC only. Suppose now I tested some sample, data is generated, right? After that generation of data, how that data will flow? For example, maybe data may be first stored in the local hard disk, or it may be directly connected to the server. So data that was generated, it will directly go to server. From server, it will go in the particular, it will stored in some particular folder. From the particular folder, it will copied and backup will be in particular tape. From tape, it will be transferred into some particular location. This is called a data flow. So how the data is going to flow? Why this is important? If some problem is there in the data or some failure in the data, you will come to know that during investigation that how much data is saved and how much data is impacted. And interface with other system or processes. Many companies are also lacking in this topic. Don't worry, we will discuss during validation, we will discuss this in more detail, but I just want to give some introduction about that. Interfaces means what? Just compare, again I am giving the same example. Hope you are well aware about the HPLC, okay? Suppose now I did my testing and data is data is generated in my system. Then it will go directly suppose to the server. Okay. Now from server, for taking the backup in the backup tape, there is another software involved. A different software is involved. Many people not worried about that software. You are getting me? From server, whatever data is backup is taken in the tape, for that the different or another software is used. This is not your normal Chromeleon or Empower and all. They are only in the systems only operating. But the different softwares are used for backup. This is the interface. People don't consider that interface. People directly do normal Empower validation or a Chromeleon or lab solution, whatever you are using, and that's it. No, we have to consider all the interfaces with each system. Hardware and software prerequisites. and security measures should be available. So all the security measures we need to consider while doing the validation. Security, I mean to say physical as well as the control, that we are going to discuss in next slide. But I just want to tell you, security is not only with respect to the controlling the functionality or the privilege, but the security means security with respect to the access into the area also. There is one question, before going ahead I just want to touch upon that. Mr. Satish asked, if have to upgrade existing GC instrument with some other detector, okay, 6-port valve for testing of nitrogen gas, then I have to perform risk management. But when vendor is not giving supporting document, then okay, challenge study should be performed for each instrument with software control. How can I approach to validation computer system in product equipment and requirements? Okay, see, there are some questions by Mr. Anurag and Mr. Satish. Before going ahead, I just want to touch upon that. Suppose if definitely, you know, this is normal scenario. This is not a rare, because everybody, once some computer system is taken for so most of the computer systems are connected to the soft analytical instruments or the production instruments, okay, or controlling instruments. So when you change your analytical instruments or the other production instruments, while the computerized software is same, okay, you upgrade that, you have to evaluate whether it will impact on your software or not. That is a very important thing. In many cases we have seen that you upgrade the hardware or the analytical instrument, but if you don't upgrade the software, then it will not support you. Then in such a case, if vendor is also not supporting you, then my suggestion is you should not use that software. You can take the backup of the software along with the data and you keep it separately, and then you can put a new software, which software will support you your instrument, so that just a minute. Yeah, so what I was telling, so when then you have to put a new software and which software will be supporting to your instrument, and then you should run with the new software with the new instruments, right? Challenge study should be performed for each new instrument with the software control. See, it depends on what is its impact. Okay, it depends on what is its impact. If you change your instrument or you upgrade your instrument, so what is its impact on the software? If there is no any impact on the software, then I don't mind, but that you have to evaluate. You have to evaluate whether it is impacting or not. Okay, so don't worry about that. I just gave a short information about this question. Tomorrow we will discuss more in detail about that. Okay, don't worry about that. Mr. Durag has asked, how can approach to validation computer system in product equipment and requirements? Okay, I just want to tell you that while going for the validation, normal, see, computer system validation and equipment validation is basically the same process flow. URS, DQ, IQ, OQ, PQ, everything will be same. Only in the equipments or a production equipment we perform the challenge test. Here also we perform the challenge test. The difference is only in the equipments, production equipments. We run the product, we check, we manufacture the product, we check the quality. Here we have to see the process flow, whether we are getting the input and what is output we are getting. Okay, so that type of challenges we have to perform. What type of tests are there? There are a lot of different types of tests. Okay, so that all tests we have to perform. Okay, but at this moment I just want to tell you that we need to have it is a simple in line with the computer systems and other equipments. Qualification validation is the same expectation. It should have the consistent performance during the operation. Okay, okay. So this is what the validation requirement about by the EUGMP Annex 1, because don't forget that the today's discussion is a EUGMP part 11 requirements or Annex 11 requirement. So what is the URS? What EUGMP expects about the URS? URS should describe the requirements functions of the computerized systems, be based on documented risk assessment and GMP impact. Your requirement should be traceable throughout the life cycle. This is last point is very clear, very important. Many companies are lacking in this. URS should be traceable throughout the life cycle. Means when you prepare the URS, during the end of the life cycle, you should able to comply the URS. You cannot say ki, okay, instrument is become old, so its functionality is reduced. Then it is of no use. When you develop the URS, what is its performance today? Your expectations are today with the software or computer system. Same expectation should be there up to the end of the shelf life. If you are not getting that, you are not meeting that expectation, then you have to reduce its shelf life. But it's very clear requirement that URS should be traceable throughout the life cycle of the software or computerized system, and it should be based on the risk assessment and the GMP impact. What is how much impact it is impacting on the GMP. Okay. So there are some more questions, but don't worry, I will touch upon the next slide, and then I will again discuss on the questions simultaneously. Okay. But this point I want to clear that validation requirement for computerized systems or the other equipments is the same process flow. Don't much worried about that. Many people are thinking computer system validation is something something rocket science. No, it is same exactly like what you are doing in the qualification and validation. Only here some test scripts, some IT knowledge is required, slight basic knowledge. I am not telling to have expertise in IT. I am also not from IT, but some basic knowledge we should have. That's enough. Okay. For the validation of bespoke or customized computer soft systems, the formal assessment and reporting of quality and performance measures for the life cycle stages of the system, appropriate test methods, appropriate test scenario, system parameter limits, data limits, error handling, automated testing tools, test environment should be considered. Yeah, I want to tell you here, just a minute, I think the question here, I think he is asking, Mr. Balakrishnan is asking, challenge study based on which criteria to be conducted? Yes, and commercially off the shelf means what as per GAM 5. Okay. See, first of all, I will ask give the response to the Mr. Balakrishnan challenge test. Okay, because I want to touch upon this appropriate test method and appropriate test scenario. Challenge test, and many companies are making error in this, I am telling you, and even the FDA has given the warning letters to this. The challenge test, always people put on the positive. We should put challenge test in the negative way. Last time also I discussed this example. Now also I am giving this example. If suppose it is having the privilege of access control, that only if I put my correct ID and password, then only it will open. So challenge test should be put my correct ID, correct password, it is opening or not. This is a positive challenge. The negative challenge is put the wrong ID, correct password, it should not allow. Put the right ID, put the wrong password, it should not allow. So many companies are not considered negative challenge, and FDA is specifically, FDA and other inspector of course, more interested in negative challenges because they want to understand what can go wrong with your system. Everybody should focus on our system when you are thinking about your computer system. What can go wrong with this system? Okay, so always remember to have that type of test methods or the test you have to consider. And automated testing tools. What is meant by automated testing tool? Suppose if your computerized system is maybe handled by thousands or millions of people, so the users will be very high. Suppose now if I develop the computerized system software for you, okay, now tell me, or take example of this YouTube. Okay, this app means it is a computerized base, right? This is used, but now at this moment some 15-20 people are there, right? And after, not only this app is used by 15 people, but maybe some other videos so many people are accessing. That means what? This software or computerized system is accessed at a time by millions or billions of people. Now suppose if I develop this type of software, and this is your expectation that at a time 1,000 people should able to operate, then how I should perform the challenge test, how I should perform the study. Then in such a case, what I can do, I can have the automated testing tool, or I have to create the artificial test environments which will give the response or the inputs to the system, so that the system will detect that I am getting some thousands of response, thousands of users are accessing me. Okay, this is what in vitro study. This IRCTC website, if you compare the website which is 5 years before and which website is now, website is developed a lot. On what basis? The basis is 5 years before you will always get buffering in that website. You will not even get the access, or it will always block. Now millions of people are accessing the website at the same time. How it is then? It is tested, first it is developed and it is tested artificially for automated testing, and for automated testing that type of testing environments are created. So what happened? They will give automatic inputs to the system, and system will detect it as the user, somebody is accessing my system. Whether all the different analogs or the you can say the inputs, okay, I'm just making it in a simple language or simple words for your understanding. So when the different inputs are put, different programs are directly attacked on the particular system will consider that many programs are coming to me, that means that many users are there, and then whether system is responding to each or not. So that is what the testing is planned. For such a type of testing, we need to have the create the automated testing environments. Okay. So there is one question that commercial off the shelf means what as per GAMP 5. I will just give a short introduction about GAMP 5. GAMP 5 will normally categorize as a 1, 3, 4, 5 type of category of the softwares. Earlier there was a 2 in GAMP 4, but now it is removed and it is now in GAMP 5. It is completely removed. The category is 1, 3, 4, 5. So commercially off the shelf means which are readily available, they will not change as per your requirement. So this is a category 3. Okay, so this is category 3 for GAMP or GAMP 3 we call it as. So that type of software. So there will be some different strategy for validation of COTS or category 3 software, and category 4, 5 software are some tailor-made software. In category 4 normally you have standard, but as per your requirement they will able to make some changes. They are not that much of rigid. And category 5 is totally different. Category 5 means you give your requirement, I want this type of software as per my requirement, and as per your requirement they will design for you. There is a slight difference between category 4 and 5. Don't worry, we will take this when we will discuss more about the computer system validation tomorrow. Don't worry, this is just a short idea I am giving you. So your question gives response to 3. Okay. Automated testing tool is available in market. See, there are a lot of Mr. Balakrishnan is asking that whether automated testing tool is available in the market or not. See, being a pharma people, we should not we are not interested in that basically. But suppose if that type of automated testing is required, okay, for example, suppose my company is a multinational company and I am having suppose 12 different sites, and we are developing the software today for my company as per my requirement. So that is a GAMP 5 category, right? So that per my requirement they are developing the software, and now as I am having 12 units, the system will be used by 12 different units by the so many peoples. Okay, then what happened? I have to perform the load testing on that, so that it will bear my load of all these users at a time. So then we should not we are not required to perform the study, because that study will be performed before the production, means before going to the production end or before allowing you to use it. So when it is at the vendor end only, the vendor, before giving you for the validation activity, before performing that, they will only perform that activity in their facility. They are having that type of setups. They will perform and they will give all the data to you, that what type of programs they made and how they perform the load testing and all, everything they will give you. So just that we have to review and evaluate. If you wish, you can while performing that test, you can tell that you please call me for FAT. You can go there and you can perform that activity during FAT, no problem, right? But it is not expected to perform at our end. We are expected to perform the different tests. So I will tell you about 8-9 tests are there. Tomorrow I will discuss much about CSV. Then there we will discuss, because today our topic is EUGMP expectation. Okay, EUGMP expectation. So I am trying to put EUGMP, but what happened? I understand that before understanding the computer system validation requirement, this is somewhat incomplete. Okay, so understanding EUGMP 21 CFR also important and CC also important. So don't worry, tomorrow we will match, or we will collaborate all these 3 requirements tomorrow. Okay, don't worry about that. Okay, thank you. So this is what the validation of the computerized system requirement by the EUGMP. Further, I am really happy from you that you are having a very good questions, and further, if you have any questions, please raise your questions so that I will answer you. I really like to answer your questions. Okay. The next requirement of EUGMP is data transfer. If data is transferred to another data format or system, validation should include checks that data are not altered in a value or meaning during the migration process. Yeah, this is very important. Let me explain you with some example, because this is a guideline statement. I don't want to keep you in that way. Okay. See, when suppose I tested some sample in the HPLC, GC or whatever, data will be generated, right? But when data will be stored in some storage device, either your server or hard disk, whatever. Now, let me ask you one thing. If I removed your software, if I removed your Empower or Chromeleon or Lab Solution, whatever you are using, if I removed from there, but data is there, data will be there in the storage, right? If I click that data, whether you will able to see that data? No. Why? Because data is transferred once it is generated to the storage system, and this transfer or migration, when it happens, it changes. Okay, it changes its structure. I am using some simple words to understand you. So what happened? It's like, suppose if I am copying the Word file, I am copying the Word file to some other location. Still that Word file will be accessible because the MS of Word is there. If Word is not there, you can have some other Office, you can have some other software like Google Docs, you will able to access, because it is stored word to word, it is stored in the same format. But when you are discussing about the GMP data, you are not storing the data in the same format. Even you are not supposed to store the data in the same format. Again, I am using the word, you are not supposed to store the data in the same format. Otherwise, what happens? There may be possibility of manipulation with your data. Okay, so this is what the point I want to tell you. And further expectation is computer system exchanging data electronically with other system should include appropriate built-in checks. Okay, the correct and secure entry and processing of data in order to minimize the risk. Yeah, when there is an exchange of data, like data from server to the tape, or tape to again the retrieval in the server and all, so that time when we process that, it should be correct and it should be a secure thing. It should not spoil or it should not change its originality. Okay, hope you are getting me right. Any questions up to here? Any questions? You are getting me right? Accuracy checks. EUGMP expects that when there is a manual interventions in the computerized system, then accuracy checks should be done. When there are manual interventions, there should be the additional check on the data. This check may be done by a second operator or by the electronic means. Criticality and the potential consequences incorrectly entered data to a system should be based on the risk assessment. Okay, so here EUGMP expects very clear thing is when I am using the computerized system, either SAP or whatever limbs or streams or your whatever track wise, whatever, or your QC instrument or production software, PLCs, I don't mind. When you are entering any data manually, please listen carefully. When you are entering your data manually, there should be second check. Many companies are lacking in this, and due to that they will come up, I am doing validation, I have hired third party, I did the validation, qualification, training, that much of thing, still I am getting the observation, because the validation people will be only focusing on their software and computer system, that's it. Further, you are going to use this system, you are going to explain to the inspector, you are going to ensure data integrity controls by using this system. Hence, you have to ensure that when there is a manual entries or manual interventions, there should be additional check by the operator, or if not possible, then it should be the automated check. That means if this activity is done manually, then unless and until it is perfect, then only it will go further. Otherwise, it will not allow. Something automated check should be there, or second person check should be there. Okay, you are getting my point? Okay, hope you are clear with this requirement. Next is the data storage. Wherever you are storing the data, means physically, physical cabinet I am discussing here. So data should be secured by both physical and electronic means against damage. Stored data should be checked for accessibility, readability and accuracy. Accessibility, readability and accuracy. Access to data should be ensured throughout the retention period. This is the requirement. Now let me explain this thing in a simple way. Okay, this is the guideline statement and I don't want to obscure this requirement, so I just put here. Now expectation is we should ensure data not only in the electronic means but also the physical means. If suppose I am storing the data in the tape, so data should be stored such that the tape should be protected from any damage or fire or some accident. That is the one requirement. So the tape should be stored should be in the fireproof cabinet, and it should be through accessibility. Means what? If suppose I am storing my data is stored in the server, so everybody should not have the access to the server. You should have some lock and key should be only particular person with the particular person. Either you can have the manual control or you can have the biometric control to that server room, or where you are handling the computerized systems, that area should be accessed or control access. So it should be checked for accessibility. Readability means what? Once I will retrieve the data, I will able to read the data. So the data should be readable or legible. And third is accuracy. So only reading is not important, readability is not important, but whatever the data I generated last time or whenever it is generated, it should be the same. That is called accuracy, that we have to evaluate, and that is not only at the start of the machine or the software or the computer system, but up to the end of the shelf life or retention period. Hope you are getting me. This is the requirement of the EUGMP Annex 11 with respect to the data storage. Okay, actually when you will go through this guideline, you will come to know that many interrelated topics are there, but they are somewhat far. Like suppose now the data storage and backup is somewhat related to each other, but data storage will be here, and at the end there is a backup requirement. So that way, so I just try to put nearby so that it will be in the same single flow and easy to understand, and even easy to have a practical implementation thought process. Okay, so this is the requirement for backup and archival. Regular backup, okay, integrity and accuracy of the backup data, ability to restore the data, this all should be checked during validation and monitored periodically, but people are not complying to this requirement. You are getting me? The requirement is during validation this backup archival should be checked. Many companies are not complying. The reason is, suppose Empower, if you take example, or Chromeleon or other instruments also, or production instruments also, the requirement, the point is the data will be in a server. Okay, so the point is whether really the data is getting archived on the server or not, and after that archival again it is backup is taken or not, and whether after that it is retrieved or not, that is not checked by many companies. They only focus on the software functionality, controls, privileges, access on the softwares. So this is where the many even the external vendors are lacking, and site people's most of the site people, they will only go on signing the files. So that is why many companies are getting this observation. So this is very important that this all checks should be considered during validation activity. Data may be archived. This data should be checked for accessibility, readability, and integrity. So here, with respect to data, one important requirement is accessibility, means nobody should be able to access. Readability means data should be able to read or legible. And third is integrity, means after accessing the data also, I should not able to make any change in that data. Nobody should able to make any changes in the data. That is called integrity. Many computerized system softwares are generating the data in the form of PDF. But let me tell you, my friends, that type of data will not comply to your 21 CFR also and EUGMP Annex 11 requirement also, because if the data is generated in the PDF form, there are many softwares are available nowadays, even editable PDFs are there. You will able to change the data. So then you will not be complying to data integrity requirement, and then you will say, I have done my computer system validation, software validation, hardware validation, everything I did. But then why I am getting observation? Because I have not evaluated the requirement in detail. So that is the reason when you just evaluate, when any data is generated in the PDF form, please try to upgrade the software, change the software, so that the data is generated in PDF, but it should be stored in some different form, so that nobody should able to make the changes or modify it. Okay. If relevant changes are to be made to the system, computer equipment and program, the ability to retrieve the data should be ensured and tested. Okay. So this is what with respect to the backup and archival. Again, I am requesting you, if you have any question with respect to this, please, I really like to answer your queries. Okay. Okay. Okay, there are some questions by Mr. Balakrishnan. How many years of data to be verified periodically? Okay, so the question is very good, that how many years of data to be verified periodically. My suggestion is that data verification also should be based on risk management, first thing. Second thing, you have to consider the data, which is, when you will perform the risk management, you will come to know that which data is more critical with respect to the GMP requirement. For example, maybe your qualification data or validation data, process validation data. because process validation and qualification data records are stored up to the end of the shelf life, right? So that process validation data generated or cleaning validation data generated by the QC instrument should be evaluated during the, that is my personal suggestion. There is no such a guideline, but this is my personal suggestion. You should evaluate that type of data. Why? Because that data you are going to store up to the end of that company or the product. You are not going to destroy that records. So if you are not going to destroy that record, so definitely the data also should be available for that records, right? Mr. Gajanan Sirsale is asking, what is electronic data life as per EUGMP, and can we verify electronic data restoration challenge for 10 years including each year? Yes, Mr. Gajanan, your question is quite impressive with respect to the electronic data life. But I just need to understand electronic data life. Does it mean that if some data is stored on my any hard drive or tape, so there is some life for a particular data, right? So if you are asking me about that life of the data on particular tape, so normally it suggests that they give some shelf life. The vendor of the backup tapes of that or the hard drive what we are getting, they give some shelf life to that particular tapes. So my suggestion is you can take the different copies, because many people think that backup means it is on the tape. No, the backup is in the server, and from the server the second backup is in the tape. Okay, so as there are some multiple backups, second thing is there are some what you can say, the chronological backup. So if one folder also gets missed, the data of that one folder will be in the second folder in the same hard drive. So that way you can have, but yes, you can have the recurrent or the chronological backup procedure. Okay, if you want to understand further that type of process, don't worry, after this training also you can ask me, or you can put in the chat box. I will explain you how we can go ahead, right? So that procedure will help to clarify this doubt, because I also understand, because everything is having some limit, shelf life. Okay, the tape will have shelf life, my hard drive will have shelf life, my server will have shelf life, and I am discussing that my data should be stored at the end of the company life. So I have to match the requirements, right? So how we can do, I will suggest you once our training is over. Don't worry about that. You can just put your comment, your point in the comment after our training. Okay. The next is what is the recommended retention period for electronic data? Basically, there is no any guideline for electronic data retention period. In 21 CFR, they have specified that yes, you can remove the data if the backup is taken. Somehow some type of clause is given, either I think in the 21 CFR or under the question and answer session of the 21 CFR. But inspectors are raising the concerns on it. So there is no such a firm guideline at this moment. For example, like if I ask you the batch record, finished product batch analytical record, or the finished product batch record, so everybody will aware, shelf life plus 1 year or maybe the 5 years, whatever, everybody is aware about that. But that type of requirement is not there in any guideline about the data. In the 21 CFR question and answer or clarification on the understanding about the 21 CFR, they have mentioned that you can remove the data and you can take if you are taking the backup. But let me tell you one thing, after that the updated ECFR, if you go through that, there is no any information about the data removal or data deletion. Okay, one company referred only that 21 CFR, they didn't refer the ECFR, and what they did, they removed the data before the inspection and they keep only last 3 months data. They prepare the SOP, of course, follow all the complete SOP. Okay, SOP prepared, as per SOP they remove the data, backup is taken the tape, they studied that how much time is required to retrieve the backup, everything they studied. But as they deleted the data from the main server, the company got the 483 observation, and company insisted that data is nothing but your original data. It is the original data, okay? So that you are not supposed to delete it, okay? Yes, if it is a very long period, then yes, that you can consider. But if there is no any guideline in the next 5-6 years also, then my suggestion is you can evaluate on the basis of quality risk management. You can evaluate, for example, the finished product analysis data, in process data, stability analysis data. So on that basis you can evaluate and you can delete in future, but not now. Hope you are clear with this, Mr. Balakrishnan. Mr. Manoj Munjal is asking, what frequency is suitable to adequate accuracy checks throughout the life cycle? See, if you are asking about the accuracy check of the backup data, then my suggestion is, again, initially you can have the on a every month basis. This is what the standard practice I am suggesting you. Many companies what do, after validation they start directly on every yearly basis or every 6-month basis, but this is not a correct practice. What we should do, after my validation and normal usage started, we should start the accuracy checks of the backup data on every month basis, on some sampling exercise, of course, for 1 year. Then from the next year you can have the frequency of once in 3 months for the accuracy check of the data, and after that in the 3rd year you can have the once in 6 month, and then on every yearly basis you can have that procedure. You should not directly jump to the once in 6 month or once in a year frequency of checking the data, because there are lot of data flow procedures or data migration arrangements are there. Secondly, there may be some automated updates in the softwares by the vendor that may not impact on your operations and all. So what happened, your accuracy should not be impacted on that. So you have to evaluate this on a sustainable basis or systematic basis, okay? If old software is outdated and vendor is not supported for the same, then how the data to be stored and restored? Yeah, this is, many companies are having this problem, my dear. The software is outdated, and the cost of the instrument will be such that they even cannot cope up, and they change to somehow other places and all. So my suggestion is, this type of thing is there. I suggest you can have the manual control to ensure the data integrity and all the data protection requirements are met. Or if you want to move ahead, you can put some other software in that computerized system. You can evaluate which software is suitable, or otherwise go for the next one, that is a better one. Is there any rationale for to reduce down quantum of data review during audit trail review, considering whole data is not possible? Yeah, basically what happened in audit trail, there are so many checks are there. So what you can do, you can distribute the checks on the basis of course, risk management I am using, but this is a general word. So practically how you can do, I will tell you. First you do the risk assessment or risk management. You will come to know which data is important. Second thing, you distribute that data, that which data is audit trail check is related to your particular injection, which audit trail check is related to your batch, which audit trail is related to your whole system. Some audit trail related checks you can distribute to some other team. Means some audit trails peculiarly should be given to reviewer. Some critical audit trials should be taken by the QA or analytical QA, and that way you can develop your internal procedure. Because even as per the guideline also, the requirement is very clear. Consideration should be given based on the risk management. So we have to do the risk assessment, to building the system, creation of a record of all GMP relevant changes and deletions. For change or deletion of GMP relevant data, reason should be documented. Audit trails need to be available and convertible to a generally intelligible form and regularly reviewed. So there is no any frequency of the audit trail. The only thing is you have to ensure the basic requirement of data integrity and audit trail review is the finished product or the batch which is going to the market. Before releasing to the market, the audit trail should be reviewed to ensure that the data generated for release of the particular batch is compliant to the requirement, so that it is not impacting on your patient safety, health, efficacy and quality. Okay, so my suggestion is you perform the risk assessment for each checks. You will come to know that which checks is prime required now and which checks I can do afterwards. You can have some different frequency, like once in a week also. Some checks you can do once in a week. Some checks you can have on daily basis. Some checks you can make the format of the injection sequence such that when you take the print of your chromatogram, that checks will be coming along with your chromatogram itself. So that way you can ensure the audit trail review. Okay, but my suggestion is many companies, many people are consider that audit trail review is only with respect to the review of the computerized system audit trail. No, audit trail means all the reconstruction of the events. So all the events where it is not supporting the computerized system, but suppose sample preparation, standard preparation, dilution, sonication, all these activities should be reconstructed along with the computerized audit trail. That is actually the review of audit trail. Many people ask me the question about this also. I think I shared this information last training, but let me share again. Sir, the simple equipments are there, so how we can review the audit trail for that? For example, the pH meter or the sonicator. Then I suggest that you can have the equipment uses logbook for that, and you can have the complete details in that equipment uses logbook, that which material you are using, at what time you are putting in the sonication, what is the temperature of the sonication bath, who is using that, at what time using. This all information you can put in the equipment uses log. This will suffice your audit trail requirement of that particular equipment. Okay, hope you are clear with these questions. If you think that still it is not answered, or if you want if you need some still more questions, you please put your point here. Okay, periodic evaluation. This is a requirement of EUGMP Annex 11 again. Computerized systems should be periodically evaluated to confirm that they remain in a valid state and are compliant with the GMP. Here I am telling you, many companies are wasting the money and time and efforts. What they do, periodic evaluation means simply they will prepare a frequency of once in a 3 years or 5 years, whatever. Sorry. And then what they will do? They will again hire the external agency, waste the money and do the periodic evaluation. No. What you have to do periodically, you have to evaluate the critical identified checks on the system and evaluate whether whatever earlier I was whether how the system was supporting me earlier, whether today also supporting me, or it getting degenerated or not. That's enough. That's it. Okay, such an evaluation should include, where appropriate, the current range of functionality, deviation record, incident problems. Means what? Now suppose 2 years before I started using this computer system, and now there are a lot of deviations are raised, lot of incidents are there, that I have to evaluate. If I am facing a lot of deviation or incident problem, then I think some functionality problem is there. Then I have to consult the engineer or the vendor. Upgrade history or multiple upgrades are there, performance is reduced or not, reliability, now it is reliable or not, the security requirements whatever were earlier, whether they are now also maintained or security is breached, validation status report, whether the validation status is still maintained or not, that we have to ensure during the periodic evaluation. It is not required to give all this again outsource this all the activities and all, because the requirement is very simple. We have to ensure it's periodically. That's it. Okay. Great. Security, there was just I discussed some preliminary discussion on the security when we were discussing about the data security and all. So similar will be here. Physical and or logical controls, suitable methods for preventing unauthorized entries. So you can use the keys, passcards, personal codes with password, biometric, restricted access to the computer system, data storage area. This already I discussed with you. You can have the access control, or you can have some access passcard. You can have biometric, no problem, for controlling the physically controlling the access. The extent of security controls depends on criticality of the computerized system. If my computerized system is very critical, data is very critical, for example my server room, where in the server room all my production equipment data, all my quality assurance data, all my QC instrument data, all my warehouse SAP data, everything is coming. So for me that server room is very critical. So I have to put there extent of security will be very high in my server room. Creation, change and cancellation of access authorizations should be recorded. This is very clear requirement. Many companies not following this requirement. Creation, change and cancellation of access authorization means, of course, for software there is a record. Suppose if I allot access for operating one HPLC as the operator access I gave, then there will be form that yes, allow or give the access to this person as operator privileges, no problem, that form is there. But we are discussing about physical and logical controls both. Means what? Means I want to tell you about the physical control. Many companies, they have the biometric controls, very good, I really like it, but that control or the access control is only allowing opening and closing of the door. It is not recorded. It is not the creation, change and cancellation of that access is not recorded anywhere else. So my request is, my sincere request is, whenever you are using the biometric or other access controls which are automated access controls in the physical access control to the rooms or the areas, there should also be a creation, change and cancellation procedure for accesses. When the person entered, when the person exit, that is required as a part of security controls. Data and document management should ensure to record the identity and operator entering, changing, confirming or deleting data, including date and time. This is very clear requirement. So all this information should be recorded as a part of security check. Hope you are very clear with this security check. Okay, any question, please raise your concern. I will be happy to answer you. Sorry, today's training is somewhat little bit more time, because somehow I want to give some information about the GMP and all also. So that is the reason. Sorry, but I want to clear all the doubts to all the colleagues. Okay. All incidents, not only system failures and data errors, should be reported and assessed. See, first sentence. All incidents, not only system failure and data errors, means what? If I made the error, it is not a system error. I made my password wrongly 3 times. So that is not a system error, that is my error. That also should be considered as an incident and should be recorded. If I am making any error in data entry, system will give as per these results, expected results. System is giving the results, okay. So I don't mind. So system is doing perfectly, but I am as a user making the error. Then that also should be reported and assessed. The root cause of critical incident should be identified, should form the basis of CAPA. But my suggestion is, this is given in the guideline, but we should not restrict to only critical type of incidents, because again, if you categorize it as a critical, major, minor, then again there will be question. Why this is not made? Why this is major? Why not critical? If you follow this type of actual implementing this requirement, root cause should be identified only for critical incidents. No, but for critical incident, root cause must be identified, should be identified. That is important. Okay. While in the other, if you didn't got the root cause, you can work on some probable causes or contributing causes and all. Okay. If you are interested in investigation and root cause also, I will take another training in future. Don't worry about that. Any changes to computerized systems, including system configuration, should only be made in a controlled manner in accordance with a defined procedure. Very good requirement. Let me explain this requirement in detail. Many people, what they do, I am having this computer, in that some software I am using. If some updation in the softwares are there, they are raising the change control. Perfectly right. I agree with him, no problem. But suppose if I am making some changes in my hardware, maybe computer, okay, that also should be recorded. Okay, if you don't want to raise a change control, I don't mind, but it should be as per the SOP. At least there should be some format that what changes with respect to the hardware I made here. Maybe some cable connection problem, so I may replace the cable. Maybe some connection port may be the problem, I replace that. Maybe I updated the operating system of the computer, or maybe I increase the RAM. Whatever I am doing with my computerized system, other than my interested software, whatever I am using, should be recorded. Because if tomorrow that software is not supporting, and I will tell, okay, yesterday it was supporting, earlier it was supporting, now it is not supporting, what is the problem? Then that time it will help us to evaluate the requirement. Next is electronic signature. Electronic records must be signed electronically, and they are expected to have the same impact on handwritten signatures, be permanent, linked to their respective record, include the date and time that they are applied. This is the requirement of electronic signature by EUGMP. So whatever electronic signature means, if you remember, if some courier boy is coming, so they will take your signature on their interface. So you will just sign on by finger also, you will sign, or by pen also you will just sign on that their courier boy, that interface, or even now the pizza delivery boys and these people also having this, that yes, it is delivered. So this is electronic signature. There is many people use the electronic signature and digital signature synonymously, but they are not same. There is a difference between the electronic signature and digital signature. Electronic signature means electronically, if I am putting a signature, is electronic signature. For example, in PDF, I am putting my signature. It is electronic signature. It is not digital signature. But when that electronic signature is certified by a genuine version of my PDF, then PDF will certify this is the digital signature. Means what? First difference is somebody should certify that the signature is done by the same individual. Second thing, after putting the signature, nobody will able to change or modify this document or record. Third thing, this is authentic that this data is generated on specific date and time. Once this is evaluated and certified by the agency or evaluated, then that is called a digital signature. if you ask me in the PDF, now suppose if I am having the normal PDF, I am putting my signature. It is e-signature because it is electronic signature. It is complying this requirement because I am putting the signature permanently linked to the respective record. I can put the signature. I can put my signature there in the PDF, but I cannot ensure that after my signature whether somebody will able to change or not. That is the reason I have to take the certified PDF. Then what happened? After that, when I put the electronic signature, then that document will be locked. Nobody will able to change that, and even I have to sign my agreement also with the PDF that yes, I will only use that signature and all. On that, all my agreement basis and my commitment only, they will certify that this is a digital signature. Okay. So digital signature is explained in detail by the 21 CFR Part 11 along with the electronic signature. So I just explain you here for your understanding. The next requirement is prints and batch release. Prints means it should be possible to obtain clear printed copies of electronic stored data. For records supporting batch release, it should be possible to generate prints indicating any of the data has been changed since the original entry. Means what? Many times what happened, I am using the computerized system for all my records and all, but for batch release sometime I have to take the print. Okay, but the print should be clear and it should support that it is not changed. For example, simple example I will give you. Suppose I am using the LIMS. Okay, now LIMS will generate the COA inside. Sorry, but for release of that batch I need a paper copy of the COA. So what I will do, I will print that COA. So that is a print copy. So the print copy should be the clear and the record supporting batch release, and it should be possible to generate printouts indicating that if data is any changed or not. Okay. When computer system is used for recording, certification and batch release, the system should allow only qualified person to certify the release of the batch. This is very important. This one company received the observation also. What happened in the company, they were using the SAP. Okay, they were using the SAP for release of the in-process material and the finished product. Okay, but main problem is in-process release was done by QC, quality control, and finish was done by quality assurance. But the problem is they were having only one license. So with the same user ID QC was using for release of the in-process and the same user ID used for release of the finished product by the QA. That means what? System was not allowing only QP to certify the release of the finished product batch. Okay, so that company got the observation. Of course, that problem is with respect to the privilege also, that password sharing and user ID also. That is not, I'm not denying that, but main requirement is the person who is having the release authority should have that release access release authority for release of the finished product batch. It should clearly identify and record the person releasing and certifying the batches. This should be performed using an electronic signature. So it should be through the electronic signature, means when the person is releasing the batch, it should ask, do you please confirm, do you want to release the batch, yes or no? If I am putting yes, then again put your signature. So again I have to put my password. So this is what the requirement with respect to the print and release. 21 CFR will normally discuss with respect to the copying also, record copying also. That terminology is not here in EUGMP. The record copying means the copies of record produced to the inspector should be having the same information. Okay, and the next point is business continuity. Okay, the last 2 slides are there. Okay, so please bear with me. So Mr. Manoj is asking again one question. Due to any reason computer operating system change, then existing software needs to be requalified. Yes, if operating system is changed, so my software I need to qualify, because that software is also installed in my same computer system, and the qualification or the validation of the software, my interested software, it depends, or the depth of validation should be based on what is its impact by changing the my operating system. It may, because operating system is a system which supports to run all my functioning in my computerized system. Okay, for example, my Windows 10, my computer is having Windows 10, that is the operating system. So it helps me to run all the operations in my computer. But yesterday, if you remember, we could not have the training on this. I really thought why it is happening. Then I come to know that yesterday there were updates in my computer, auto updates in my Windows. So when I updated that in my Windows, due to the updates, there was the change in the settings of my laptop mic. Due to that, this is one software of YouTube through which I am conducting the training. Due to that, what happened? Due to that change in the setting impacted on my operation performance of the YouTube, and due to this, there was a problem in the voice. I was not able to audible to you. You got my point? So any updates or any change in the operating softwares should be evaluated. But as it is not a GMP activity, so I didn't perform the validation. But in the GMP, it is not acceptable because it may impact on my product release. Correct? Hence, if we are changing any operating system or upgrading the operating system, yes, definitely we should do the validation of the activity or validation of my software. The next is business continuity. Ensure continuity of support for the computerized processes in the event of system breakdown. The time required to bring the alternative arrangements into use should be based on risk. This arrangement should be adequately documented and tested. This is the requirement. Hope I am audible throughout this session. Please put your comments. Okay. So, many people consider that business continuity means suppose my computer system is not working. Then what I should do? Prepare some manual operations and all. Okay, this is a part of business continuity only. Okay. Under business continuity, the disaster recovery plan is there, DRP. Many companies are lacking the disaster recovery plan. So the business continuity means in case of breakdown, what is the alternate system? Second, very important, many companies are lacking is, okay, my system is not working, how it will come into original time. For example, take example, I will give one example. When I was working in one company, I will not share the example, I will not share the name. That company was having a perfect requirement of data in the system, then data backup in the server, from data backup into data backup in the tape. Very good system. Just before the inspection, FDA inspection, some 1 month before, I would say, there was a fire in the QC instruments, and lot of HPLCs were burnt, lot of data was burnt. But thank God we were having the disaster recovery plan, DRP, because it is a part of business continuity plan. Okay. On that, we have proved that if something happens, disaster happens, we will lose only 8 hours data. So on the basis of our disaster recovery, or business continuity plan or disaster recovery, because it is a part of the business continuity only, we have proved that we will lose in case of any natural calamity or fire or accident, we will lose only 8 hours data. So we have performed the risk assessment. Already we have performed during that business continuity plan development, we have performed the risk management. On that basis, we have proved that 8 hours data is compromised. So once this accident over, done, we evaluated the data, we checked, and we come to know, yes, really all data is safe except the last 8 hours data. That is a very good benefit of that risk assessment what we did during the business continuity process or business continuity evaluation. Secondly, then we only need to generate that 8 hours data. So if solutions are there, we injected that solutions. Samples were there, we use the same samples for reanalysis. Of course, through the quality notification or the temporary change control itself, we followed this activity, and FDA was very happy to go through this all data, and there was no any observation with respect to this. The reason is not that the data is burnt and all, but how you handle accidents or fire or natural calamity, that is important. You got my point? How you handle these scenarios is very important during such type of things. So this business continuity plan is very important. These arrangements should be adequately documented and tested. So periodically we have to evaluate the business continuity arrangements, and it should be tested periodically. Okay, up to here, do you have any questions? Because now this is just I have tabulated some differences between the 21 CFR part 11 and EUGMP Annex 11. Okay, if you have any questions, please raise this. So now I am just going to discuss difference between the EUGMP and 21 CFR part 11. So EUGMP specifically discuss about the critical systems. Actually, I want to tell you that EUGMP use the word critical, but the interpretation of that critical is criticality of the system. Okay, so we should not use only the critical, major, minor. I would use the word as criticality of the system. At what extent the criticality, because on that basis the depth of the validation exercise will be there. Second is electronic signatures. EUGMP speaks about electronic signatures, but 21 CFR part 11 speaks EC sign also. Along with the electronic signature, they speak about a digital signature also. Third is EUGMP speaks about very short description about the open systems, while 21 CFR part 11, specifically ECFR, discussed in very detail about the closed system, open system, what precautions or what additional controls we should put when we are operating or handling the open systems, and what are the controls while using the closed system. Hope you are aware about the open systems and closed systems, right? 21 CFR part 11 explains about that. Okay, it is with respect to my GMP data generation and retrieval, everything. But if I am using some data, I am using some tool for submission of the electronic data to FDA, then 21 CFR part 11 is applicable for that also. That means what? Applicable to regulatory submission documents. But in EUGMP, that type of statement is not there. But that does not mean it is not applicable. But that type of statement is not there. No information about that. EUGMP speaks about printing information, while 21 CFR part 11 use the terminology record copying. In EUGMP, detailed discussion about the vendor evaluation, then agreements, formal agreement should be there, how vendor evaluated, that all procedure should be, requirements are there in the EUGMP, but in 21 CFR, no much discussion about the vendor evaluation. 21 CFR discuss about the legacy system, how you can use the old system if they are not updated or updated version and all. But EUGMP, there is no any discussion about the legacy system. About the personnel, EUGMP expects that appropriate qualification, level of access and defined responsibility should be there, and there should be close cooperation, while 21 CFR expects that the personnel handling that software should have education, training and experience. This is, I just gathered or collated some differences between the EUGMP and sorry, 21 CFR part 11. Okay, so with this, do you have any question? Please raise your question so that I will able to answer the things further. Okay, and I want to tell you that if you want to access the PowerPoint presentation, training presentation, if you want, I am sharing you the link. Okay, you can go to this link, you can click this link and you will get that. Further, I am sharing my contact details to you. My suggestion is you can go through this YouTube channel, Hitendra Kumar Shah. There you will get the basics about the data integrity requirement if you need a basic information. If you want some more information with respect to audit trail, that also videos are there, so that it will give you more clarity about that. Okay, and finally, before going, I request you that who is attending this training, please hit the like button, and further you have any question, you can put your comment box after closing this session. Chat I will reply to your comments. Okay, thank you so much, and ensure all time compliance. Thank you. So please raise your question, or I will wait for 2 minutes and I will end this training session. Thank you so much. And even if you want to attend, you can attend my next at 6 o'clock. I will be again discussing on the offline session on this topic, so you can, so that we will have a discussion on that. Okay, thank you. Please put your questions. You can use this link, copy this link first, and you can download the training presentation here. Yes, Mr. Manoj, any question? Mr. Gopal Patil, Nisarg, Sunil Kupar, Mr. Balakrishnan, Mr. Praveen Wani, Mr. Rajesh Babu, any question? Please raise your question. Otherwise, I will now, I will end the session now. Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. Okay. Ensure all time compliance. Thank you.